How did a seemingly innocuous humanitarian mission to Cuba become a full-blown federal investigation involving a popular streamer, a Rhodes Scholar, and alleged ties to a communist regime? This isn't just about a trip, it's about the intricate web of influence designed to shape global politics. Before we dive into the deep end of this story, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and allows us to bring you these kinds of in-depth investigations. Now, let's talk about the Nuestra America Convoy, or Our America Convoy. This operation brought hundreds of activists, politicians, journalists, and organizers from dozens of countries to Cuba, reportedly delivering around 40 tons of supplies. At the center of the planning, according to investigative reporting, is David Adler. Adler, a Rhodes Scholar and political economist who studied at Oxford, is not just some minor player. He's the general coordinator for Progressive International, an organization that emerged from a political initiative launched by figures like Senator Bernie Sanders and former Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis. The convoy gained widespread attention when popular Twitch streamer Hasan Piker admitted he turned to Adler for advice when faced with U.S. sanctions pressure on Cuba. Piker recounted that Adler said, "I'm already working on it," and then orchestrated this massive transnational effort that brought Piker himself to Havana. This involvement is now drawing scrutiny from federal investigators, with sources indicating that the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control has issued administrative subpoenas to Piker and CodePink co-founder Medea Benjamin, seeking records related to their Cuba travel, communications, and financial activities connected to the convoy. The requests specifically look for potential contacts with Cuban government personnel or entities. While much of the public focus has been on figures like Piker, Medea Benjamin, and Shanghai-based tech tycoon Neville Roy Singham and his wife Jody Evans, who was seen with Piker in Havana, new analysis points to Progressive International and David Adler as the critical organizers. Computer engineer Jenica Pounds, known online as Data Republican, compiled hundreds of hours of Piker's live streams and interviews, repeatedly highlighting the central role of Adler's organization. Gelet Martinez Fragila, a Cuban-American journalist who has been investigating Cuba's influence networks for years, calls organizations like Progressive International dangerous. She argues that by co-opting progressive values, they provide political legitimacy to authoritarian regimes with human rights violations, whose ultimate goal, she claims, is to undermine the United States. Fragila emphasizes that this is a classic propaganda strategy of the Cuban regime, using solidarity groups as a cover for building alliances and maintaining power. Progressive International itself is a significant entity within a much larger network. Fox News Digital identified 145 nonprofits, labor groups, and activist collectives that they believe are mobilizing in support of the Cuban government and its Communist Party, collectively reporting about $1 billion in annual revenue. This network is apparently ready to rally in support of Cuba if the U.S. were to take military action. Progressive International, founded in 2020, has an advisory council that includes Mariela Castro Espin, daughter of Raul Castro and a member of Cuba's National Assembly. This direct link to the highest levels of the Cuban Communist Party is seen as highly significant by critics. Adler's own history is noteworthy. He was a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford, directed policy for Yanis Varoufakis' Democracy in Europe movement, and served on Bernie Sanders' foreign policy advisory team. He's also had direct interactions with the Cuban government. Last year, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel publicly intervened on Adler's behalf when Israeli authorities detained him while he was part of a flotilla to Gaza. During the convoy's visit to Cuba, Adler was seen in a VIP seat next to Diaz-Canel at an event sponsored by the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples, or ICAP, an organization with a long history of facilitating state-sponsored delegations to Cuba. The convoy wasn't a spontaneous event. Progressive International described it as an international operation involving hundreds of delegates and dozens of organizations. Piker himself documented parts of the operation, crediting Progressive International, CodePink, and the Answer Coalition for organizing the flight carrying medical aid, solar panels, and food. He even consulted Ben Rhodes, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Obama, before his trip, who reportedly warned him he would be very sad when you see it. Piker later embedded with Belly of the Beast, a media organization whose documentary from Cuba features interviews with senior Cuban officials, including the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs. The convoy to Cuba is seen by investigators as the latest evolution of a decades-old model of Cuba solidarity, now using the guise of humanitarian aid for political advocacy and propaganda. The same organizations involved in this March mission, Progressive International, People's Forum, Code Pink, and the Answer Coalition, are repeatedly found across the broader solidarity infrastructure connected to Cuba. What began with groups like ICAP and the Vince Ramos Brigade now operates through a modern network of nonprofits, media projects, and international delegations. For critics like Gelet Martinez Fragila, Adler represents a crucial part of the network working to sustain communism in Cuba. So, what do you think about this entire situation? Is this a legitimate humanitarian effort or a sophisticated influence operation? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This investigation reveals a complex and concerning intersection of progressive activism, international politics, and alleged foreign influence. We'll continue to follow this story as it unfolds.